All right. Here we are. I'm at Q13foxnews.com. First, let me say good evening. I hope you had a good week. But while I get to it, let me not try to click on these pop ups too much. I was going to save this for the other channel, but I wanted to talk about something because Brother Andre Wickham brought it to my attention that he wanted to speak about it, and had me to give my way in it on a situation. And I'm going to use this tragedy to talk about what he wanted to talk about. And how I'm going to go about it is he wanted to talk about how women can pretty much file for no fault divorces. Now, let's read this. This is in Erie, Pennsylvania. A 300-pound woman in Pennsylvania has pleaded guilty to murdering her boyfriend by stabbing him, hitting him in the head with a table leg, and finally crushing the 120-pound man with her own weight. Obviously, she weighs more than twice his weight, so it's feasible. Wendy Thomas, 44, pleaded guilty to third-degree murder in the March 18 death of Keno Butler in the exchange for the recommended sentence of 18 to 36 years in state prison. This is the lady right here, Wendy Thomas. Keep reading. Police say Thomas admitted crushing Butler after a fight at their Erie residence. She told them she positioned herself so that her weight would be on his head. The homicide caused by respiratory insufficiency, secondary to blunt force trauma to the neck and thoracic compression, exacerbated by blunt force trauma to the head, court papers state. Sandra Butler, the victim's sister, say Thomas should have gotten life. My mother, she calls for him every night, she says. Thomas would have been scheduled to go on trial next week, will be sentenced December 21st. Okay. Now, a lot of people are like, what's this got to do with divorce? And it has a lot to do with divorce. It has a lot to do with leaving. Why didn't she just leave the dude as opposed to killing him? Is what you could ask yourself. But more so than that, you could ask yourself, why is this 120-pound man dealing with this 300-pound woman, right? So, because you have this situation that befalls people, where they actually have the ability, once again, it's on them. They choose to be in these situations, right on. It's not nobody's forcing them to be there. Does that make sense? So I think sometimes we get people who they so badly want to be accepted, loved, or whatever, that they find themselves in this situation. And by no stretch of the imagination is this something to laugh about. I was like I said, I was going to save it for my other channel, and throw it in the age and air them out. But what I wanted to do was leave that office to see how, like, you see how she got off so easy though. 18 to 36 years. She murdered this dude. She murdered him. Murder. How do you get off with a third-degree murder charge when it's clearly first-degree murder? She, you could even say it was premeditated in the sense that he's dead. There's no indication to what really happened. You follow what I'm saying? There's no saying what really happened. And her family's right. For this chick to have only gotten fucking 18, I want you guys to think about this. She's 44 years old now. In 18 years, she'll be 62, presumably, right? 36 years, she would be 80. Now, a lot of people will be like, she's done. She'll probably die in prison. And I'm like, there's a possibility she could die in prison, but there's a chance she might not. And for a person to have the ability, you see, because that's what she has. She has the ability to leave. She could have just left. And as opposed to her doing this, what she decided to do was she said, no, no, no. I'm gonna stab this dude. And and the way I see this happening is that she ambushed him and he probably tried to fight back and still lost his life. However, um, um, she could have just been like, I'm leaving this guy. I'm divorcing this guy. I'm saying? And that's not what happened. What the hell? One second. I just think it's weird. I don't know what's going on right now. One second. We got this. I don't know why my computer's acting funny. There we go. I was trying to get in this joint, and it wouldn't even let me back into the actual video. However, now that I'm back, uh, what's awkward is that, let's say right now, right, dude's married to a chick, and he's like, "Look, I want to get a divorce," right? And now I want y'all to think about this. She killed this man. She crushed him with all her weight, everything. You know what I mean? If a dude says, I want to get a divorce, I want to leave, right? Let's say that was the fight. Let's just assume that was the fight, right? She could have left this dude all on her own anyway. Do you see how there's no reciprocity for men? Um, and when I say that this is grown folk talk, because a lot of the time, you know, this goes both ways. This goes with the situation like what's it called? What's the word called? Oh my goodness. You know how like rape. There we go. Rape. That's what I was looking for. So when dudes commit rape on women, right? And they choose to do this. This is a choice that they make. You follow me? There's no way you can tell me that this man does not know what he's doing. They lock dudes up forever and throw away the key for sex crimes. Listen, sex crimes, not murder, sex crimes. Every once in a while, there's a dude who will get away with some shit that he shouldn't have gotten away with. Every once in a while. And unless you're talking like inner city crimes, I'm really focusing on the duplicity of all of this. Because once again, I'm gonna pull the article back up one more time because I know some of y'all wasn't here. What up, Martin? And it's just crazy because once again, if you or somebody that you knew did this, and I'm not knocking the chicks, but as a man, if you do this as a man, it's over. Like you feel me? I salute you. I knew you well because you're out of here. And you probably get the death penalty. You know, let me just find the email from my boy real quick. Come on, right there. There we go. And it's just amazing because if once again, could you imagine a 300-pound anything sitting on your head? You know. Now, I don't weigh 120 pounds, and I don't know how tall or how short this guy was. You know, to say how stout he was, but at a buck 20 versus 300, his chances just don't. It just doesn't sound good. You know. But look, we're just gonna go over this one more time. She's 300 pounds, right? She pled guilty for murdering her boyfriend. She stabbed him, hit him in the head with a table leg, finally crushing him with the weight. Listen, finally crushing the 120 pound man with their own weight. 120-pound man with their own weight. Now this is crazy, right? Because now they put it lightly right there, but let's read what she did actually. And then I want y'all to understand this. Police say Thomas admitted crushing Butler after a fight at their Erie residence. She told them she positioned herself so that way some of her weight would be on his head. All of her weight. She crushed this dude's head, y'all. She literally smashed this dude's head with all of her weight. Wow. Wow. And let's go back up so that way you understand. She's only getting 18 to 36 years in prison. So I'm not gonna look for it right now because it wasn't even on my mind and I seen it days ago. But there was a guy somewhere on the East Coast. You know, he got touched. You know, they put him down for something similar. So I think it's weird, once again, that we have these people who are able, you know, be it a man or a woman, but normally chicks that are able to pull this shit off, you know, and this is a travesty because once again, let's say it's a dude who just, let's say the dude was like, I'm trying to leave the chick. Right? Of course she should get life, bro. She should be out of here. She should be out of here. It shouldn't even be a question. Well, the question should be, are we going to give her the death penalty or not? If Pennsylvania has a death penalty, I'm not sure. I'd have to look all that up. But if they do, that should be the question. It shouldn't be whether or not, oh, is this lady actually, you know what I mean? How much time is she going to get? No, she should be done forever. You know, and it should be, are we going to put a needle, noose, or a damn special hat to fry her ass with? You have, this is the issue. Like we were talking about earlier, bro. They have the ability to just divorce and leave people. Then again, there's also this sexual stigma of if she, you know, if she wants it, she wants it, and she just has to have it. And this goes for a lot of things, but when they speak to the sexual things, they really speak to, well, if she cheated on this man, it was only because her body, her biological whatever, her makeup, you know, she just couldn't resist herself. And it's like, it's this sort of thinking, right, that allows for a person like her to only get 18 to 36 years. They didn't say she couldn't get parole. So let's say she does her 18 years, or her 18 years is coming up, and then she decides that, bam, I'm gonna try to get parole. She'll only be going on 62. She'll be old, but she won't be that old. She's already lived a lot of her life. She's 44 years old. So for her to spend the next 18 years possibly staying in shape, getting back into better shape, doing whatever, right? She don't lose nothing. The only person that lost is this dude. He's dead. And his family will never get justice because the law, the so-called justice system, feels like they've delivered justice to the fullest extent that they could without her possibly getting off. So this is the beef. What's up, Tammy? How you doing? You know, and that chick, man, you know, I mean, once again, I don't personally believe in dating women that like way more than me. You know what I mean? Like that's just a rule that I set years ago. You know, and I set that rule back when I was weighing like, you know, closer to 180. You know, maybe even a little over 180. So it wasn't like I was, you know, 155 pounds like I am right now saying it. You know, But this dude's 120 pounds. The chick is 300 pounds. It makes me think of that line in Friday, where Day Day is trying to hook Craig up with Baby D, and Craig is like, I ain't going out. I ain't going out like that. And Little Roach chimes in and says, fat chicks need love too, Craig. Or he's pretty much seconding what Day Day says, But it's just the whole line of this lady doesn't even take care of herself. This dude probably was actually in love with her, could have loved her. He was with her. She crushed him to death. Now people talk about, the women can do no wrong and this, that, and the other. Well, I mean, clearly she's obviously going to prison, so she's done wrong. But to the extent of what she's done, the actual punishment does not fit the crime. I can say that. 18 to 36 years is what she should have got for like stabbing at him and then him almost dying. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's what you get for that. You know what I mean? You don't give nobody 18 to 36 years for, she crushed his head. She stabbed him, bashed him with the fucking table leg, excuse my language, and then crushed his head with all 300 pounds. And she could weigh, and the thing is, she could weigh more than 300 pounds. That's the craziest part. Now, let me go ahead and shift my attention to something else. Let me go ahead and see if I can't find the article real quick in my email. Because Andre sent this to me. I'm on Real Grown Folk Talk right now. But I'm going to smooth my transition to this. See that white woman right there? See, if we allow people like her to go unseen, right? Nobody will know that she did that. Nobody will understand how evil she has to be to do that. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people who say, well, there's black chicks who do worse to their own babies, to their own baby daddies. And I'm like, well, the scripture says that these people, man and woman, are going to hold their child in their bosom, their loved one in their bosom, and look at them with an evil eye. So I only take that stuff so far, but I know that it's real, and I know that that's the devil at work. Now, Andre sent this to me earlier. This would have been last night or yesterday afternoon. I'm pretty sure it was looking like last night. Yeah, last night, like almost 10 o'clock, tripping. Let me make it a little bit bigger so that way people can actually see. Because the words are super duper little, but I do want y'all to be able to see what the hell is going on. 1 second. So I'm at this little Pinterest website. I'm gonna pull up the page and share it. 1 moment. Whew, here we go. All right. And then right after this, I'm gonna hit up a whole nother thing. All right. Church. The word church is most commonly used for a Greek word ecclesia, which means called out. Church is not an accurate translation of ecclesia because it is a derivative of the name of a pagan Greek Kirke, who specialized in turning men into swine. She was skilled in the magic of metamorphosis, the power of illusion, and the dark art of necromancy. She was also the daughter of Helios, the sun deity. It is interesting to note that William Tyndale, in his Bible translation, translated ecclesia as congregation and only used the word churches for heathen temples in Acts 19:37. Cirque's name was derived from the Greek meaning kirkou, meaning to secure with rings or hoop around, a reference to her magical powers. The word church is known in Scotland as kerk, in the Netherlands as kerk, and in German as Kirche. The derivation from the Greek kerk is evident. Oxford English Dictionary 1971 regarding the church list the following forms. A, is that a Kirish, church, etc. Curse or cert, church, kirk, kirk, etc. Kirika, kiris was original applied to the building. It is clear that the conversion of the Teutonic nations was assumed as the naturalized equivalent of ecclesia. From the antiquity to Teutonic peoples and the present, we see a clear perversion in association Yahweh's people with the pagan deity, assembly, or congregation is much more accurate. There we go. So pretty much what that is saying is that what you call the church, well, what they consider the church is a bold-faced lie. Don't tell me that they didn't have this up the whole time. 1 second. There's no way. Take that down. Stop sharing. This thing. Every once in a while it gets the best of me. I don't know why tonight my internet is acting super duper funny. Suspect. You guys are funny. I'm just getting back to what's going on, what's all been said. Yeah, suspect, super suspect. The chick. You guys are funny. I'm not gonna, you know what? I mean, before I move on and say what that's the whole church thing. Did you notice? Did you notice in the article when it was talking about the goddess Cirque, right? Kirk. It's trying to tell the people that the direct correlation of what is known as church is not what you think it is. So when they say we're going to church, you could almost argue that they're going to worship this deity that they don't even know that they're worshiping. It's almost amazing because when the Most High says, you know, they worship statues, wood and stone. Well, here's a question for you. Is the building that's made out of wood and stone a statue if you're going there and it's actually a deity? Or it's the representation of this deity? This fallen one? I want you to really think about that for a moment. It's deep. Because not every church has pictures of white Jesus inside of it or crosses inside of it. Some of them are actually very plain, very bland. So the idea that you've gone to the building itself could be idol worship. I'm just saying. However, most people can't take that kind of stab. You see what I'm saying? Because it's going at what they believe as a grown folk, you know, and they can't take that. No. What they can take is you pointing out things that may or may not make them a better person. But they have to realize that you can be made a better person by seeing that things that we believe to be right or wrong. There have been so many things that I've been taught that I believe were right, were so wrong. From Horace Butler to Louis Farrakhan. There's so many different things, and these are revelations or whatever that came to myself. So when we have something like church really being a deity, right? On what level are they not worshiping this deity? I need you to really get what I'm saying right now, y'all. Whether they realize it or not, on what level are they worshiping the goddess when they go to the building? Is this why they make them so pristine? Is this why in a place like Jamaica, there's more freaking churches there than any, per square mile than any other place in the world? So that way they can keep these people wrapped up in this goddess and not realizing this building holds energy, a foreign energy. It's almost like the internet. When I was saying videos ago that it's alive, and I was speaking to Andre the other day, and I said, there's a good chance that the internet is the Antichrist. I can't prove that just yet, but I'm this close. Obviously, the internet would need a physical body, but if it had a physical body, it would be smarter than anybody. It would be able to do all the things that the Antichrist is supposed to be able to do. Hands down. There's no thought even about it. And it would make sense that it would not be turned on sexually by man or woman because it doesn't have a normal human stimulus. Right. However, that's just my thought on something else real quick. Back to the church. People go to a building that is named after a Greek deity, a Greek goddess, and they're worshiping in this building. Supposedly, a character named Jesus. Hold on, stop right there. Who is that again? Zeus. Are we really seeing how so-called pagan it really is? These people don't even realize how immersed they are into devil worship. They are. And because they have a book in there that is supposed to be holy, they don't realize that it's like they're mixing oil and water together and then throwing dirt in it in the end. So even if you put fire to the water to get the oil out, there's still dirt in there. Right. And that's the issue. That is the issue. No matter what they do, they don't get out untouched, unscathed. They will be tainted. People who go to church, no matter what they tell me, they're tainted to the degree that they listen. It already is. It already is though, sister. That's what I'm saying is that I just learned this earlier today, right? Because I just got the email from Andre earlier. But as I was reading it, and it hit me, but as I was reading it just then, it really hit me like, yo, these buildings are deities. They're idols, literally. Yep. Living. And see, it's crazy. And this is why electricity being inside of buildings and stuff like that, the actual use of electricity, all of it is really suspect. When you really think about everything, we really live in a magical world. We just don't see it like that because we grew up with witchcraft being a normal thing. It's regular now. So it's not irregular to see witchcraft practiced and everybody accept it. If we go to genetics just real quick, Gregor Mendel never meant for his research to be used as a weapon against people, so that way people who look like him could ultimately gain from it. Because if that was the case, he wouldn't have used peas. He would have used living humans, subjects, right on, as his crash test dummies. You know, and he would have man, y'all just don't understand. This dude would have pulled a mad doctor, okay? All right. And what he did would have never been talked about. And he would only be known about. And he would be vaguely known about. It would be like how Enoch in the book of Enoch exposes the fallen, right? So they only talk about Enoch. There's two different Enochs, but they only talk about Enoch from the Adamite bloodline through Seth, not through Cain, once. So because of this, you have to understand that whatever he said was that important. Mind you, he has his own book. Whatever he said, for it to not be with all the other information, is so important or so damning and so condemning that we can't leave it here. So they'd rather you go get the book yourself, read it yourself, come to understand that, holy smokes, the book of Enoch actually totally backs up the entire Bible. And you have to have read the Bible to understand what he's talking about on different points and junctions. So here we are again, where I could argue that people's minds want to accept nonsense, but I don't think that's the case. I think that more people are confused about what to believe, you know. There's a lot of nonsense going on right now in the world, y'all. I mean, like, I watched this video that Roger Spice had on his channel, and I remember seeing the article a while ago. Something just like this. A lady killed the little baby, right? Panics, looks up how to try to resuscitate the baby, save the baby, doesn't work, right? Bam. Now they're charging her, you know. But that doesn't work because it's too late now. You see what I'm saying? We're already past. You can't save somebody who's no longer here, you know. This is why you have to be proactive. And you know, he had posted another video where he's talking about, you know, these people at these daycares, you know, doing God knows what to the babies. And he was saying that's why he never trusted daycares. And it's funny because I've never cared for daycares just because I've known people to run them, you know, who I knew, who I'm not going to say I wouldn't trust with my kids, but it's like I just know how they are. So it's like I wouldn't trust them with a large number of children. My child, sure, but with my child and 10 other people's children whom we don't really know or we're loosely affiliated with or don't know at all, no, because their mentality isn't geared towards what this society is promoting and is used to. Most people want to see you lose. You understand? So these guys can't understand that you can't talk to a child any old type of way these days anymore. Which used to really be the best way to fix a child, is to speak to them in a certain manner outside of physical reinforcement of what you were speaking, but to speak to them in a certain manner so that way you could get through to them. Well, see, these babies, right? And I always get mad when people do something to the babies. Like, I always feel some type of way, like that's the devil. You know what I mean? Like, if you hurt a little kid, normally I would have to say that there's something wrong with you. Like, you would have to be at like time of war, you know, no holds barred, there are no rules right now, you know. And even in certain situations and certain circumstances, then, the mercy rule does apply. So the fact that people don't look at it as, okay, well, the main stewards of the children, the mothers, are abusing the children at record rates. Record rates. So it's hard for a woman who's out of the years of producing children to understand what a young lady who's half her age or 15, 16 years younger than her is thinking when she abuses her children, right? Kills her children. When this woman's thinking like, I would have died an infinite number of times, the woman who's critiquing this situation died an infinite number of times before I would ever do something like that to my baby. But we have to realize the battle's already won. The battle for these women was already won. You see, the same women who were that age, who were critiquing these other women so crucially, they're not realizing your comrade in arms, your sisters, your aunties, and your cousins, right? And some of their mothers, right? They were the fighters of this battle against men to have the household where they were the head of the household solely and independently. So much so now to where these women who are younger than them aren't receiving the same assistance. The atmosphere and circumstances for the world has changed. So therefore the stress has accumulated. Not only that, but there's no reprieve. Because women back in the day didn't go around. There was no FaceTime, Instagram, this, that, and the other, where a dude could find out that his children's mother had been out, ran around town, and slept with half the city. You see what I'm saying? These dynamics change everything. And because people never realized that you're going to suffer the same consequences that a person would suffer if a man were to walk in or a woman were to walk in and find their significant other with another person, right on, in the act of copulation. The degree, the severity of one's distancing themselves is yet the same. And these young ladies had to learn the hard way, because their mothers never had to learn. Their mothers weren't taught because the system was full-blown powerful. So now they're in this generation of people who have been not dependent on the system, but they've been frequent abusers of the system sometimes. Because most of the people who end up on welfare get off of welfare. There's a lot of people who don't stay on welfare, who on it for a few months or for a year or whatever, but a lot of people get off of welfare. So, and I'm talking about Black people. So when they get this job or these two jobs, or she gets that miracle job, and I have to keep it with the she for a second, she will forget the struggle that is real for everyone else around her, because her struggle isn't so bad. My bills are paid, my rent or my mortgages is satisfied, so I'm good. Right. And therefore I can raise these children all by myself, not realizing that her feminine energy was not enough to sustain the masculine energy that her son was producing and, right, and emitting and putting off. She couldn't match that. And because she didn't feel that there was a need to ever have a man around, right? There was no need for this young boy to have his father in his life. I'll have another man raise him, because they think that works, and disrespect the ultimate order of biology and genetics as to this person is who I come from. So when I do certain things, I'm doing it because I'm like them. I'm not doing it because I'm not like them. And because you have another person who's trying to understand what this other person who they may possibly have a relationship with, but normally chances are today they don't. So now they're trying to understand, well, what is this man like, or what was he like that makes this child operate like this? This leads to abuse, so many different other things that, you know, that children have to face and go through. And children are so resilient that people forget how strong children are. You see what I'm saying? The babies are so resilient. I've never met anybody tougher than a baby. Never. Sure, they cry, and sure they do this, and sure they do that. But when I say a baby will ride it out to the very end, they will ride it out to the very end. A baby. More loyal than a dog. I promise you. I promise you. And that's almost any little baby. So when you have this dynamic where the child is overlooked because they're so enduring and their perseverance is so high, that this other person can now they have a false sense of confidence, and this boisters all their bad ideas, right? And all their horrible actions. And it's not until these people totally separate, get older, and distance themselves that they realize everything that I'd done that I thought was righteous was not righteous at all. So it's a horrible dynamic, big sister. It really is. You know, I love my stepfather, you know. R.I.P. to Wayman. But it's weird when I look at how, like, let's say like my mom had just never tried to leave my dad and had just stayed with my dad, right? As good as a man that Wayne is, I would have his person did not have to be introduced to me. You understand what I'm saying? The environment, you know, the environment does a lot. See, but that's what I'm saying though. That you see right there. I mean, like I can't say that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, but I do understand because I've seen that with my own two eyes. I know it. I know it. I know it, and I know it. And then on the flip side, now let me talk about the men, you know, and some of the skullduggerous things that they do that encourage this action. How long are women going to see men constantly go out and choose wrong over right? So none of you want to work a 9-to-5 job. You all want to sell dope. You all want to shoot guns, but you want to cry at funerals and get sad when your friends get killed. You want to cry in the courtroom and be sad when they get life in prison, but nothing was bothering you when it was all going your way. So it's like, and then a lot of these guys, right, who are able to be successful now in their late 30s, early 40s, mid 30s, some of them even their early 30s. Some of these guys just a few years older than me. A lot of these dudes got away with shit that they weren't supposed to get away with. You know, they got away with shit that they weren't supposed to get away with. And now they pass judgment on the same type of brothers that they used to be. It's madness. It's madness. These dudes are the same dudes who have 4 or 5, 6 children that nobody knows about, that they don't claim. They have the one family that they do claim. Right. Right. And this is the issue. My brother's a child like that. Okay? Where his biological father, right, is some dude who already had a family. Out here fucking around with my mom and my mom's sister, but my mom's sister's first. My mom was in the wrong, right on. No matter how person wants to cut that cake, my mom was in the wrong, you know. But the ultimate lesson learned was you can't trust people like that. You see what I'm saying? And she learned the hard way. When men take accountability for themselves, it doesn't take women bashing you across the head with a frying pan for you to be like, okay, I'm wrong. There's a level of fuckery that men have committed against other men that they don't want to be held accountable for, you know, because then if they're held accountable for it, maybe some of the things that they've been saying are diminished, go away, don't matter as much. You see what I'm saying? And that's the issue that a lot of them have. So what they do is they put on this front as if what they're doing, right, is so honorable, is so righteous, or, you know, I saw the light type motherfucker. But that's where we're at. Is we have these two classes of people, and one of them has been able to slowly rise while the other one slowly descended. So now they're able to say, see, black woman, if you had just chose an educated lame 20 years ago, while the educated lames were the same dudes paying for women on the corner, going to the clubs, right? Selling drugs on the side, or, you know, getting high on the side, and I mean real high. It's that type of shit. And nobody wants to talk about all these dudes and all these chicks, because once again, they're out of the realm of that now. So it's okay for them to poke fun at people and to be critical, because they're no longer that person that they would be being, that they're no longer the person that they're being critical of. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't go in on dudes who claim to be hood dudes. I don't. I go in on the things that they do, but I don't go in on them personally, because I understand that if you grew up in a certain type of environment, or the circumstances were a certain way, man or woman, right, you're going to be a certain kind of person. I can't stress how many of these dudes who ran around here laying up with every single chick, they subconsciously taught their daughters to be whores. And they're mad because their daughters are whores. Mad because, oh, you ran around sleeping with all these chicks and you raised your daughter like a little princess, and then all of a sudden she grows up and she's smashing everybody. Instagram thought type shit. I can't help that. Nobody here can help that. But that's what it's come to, because nobody wants to be honest with themselves. Well, I think we're honest with ourselves. I think our small unit here, our small cohesive unit here, I think we practice self-responsibility and self-accountability. I believe we do. I think I could practice it more and better myself in certain areas, in certain venues. But I know that, and I do what I can based on my circumstance. But I'm not going to drive myself crazy trying to do something that I think is right, but it's ultimately going to cause me more discomfort and dis-ease while I'm in my current circumstance. That doesn't make sense. That makes no sense. When we as a people come back to our senses and say, okay, women, men, children, and respect the station of each person, then we're going to get somewhere. And that won't happen for a long time. I don't have to worry. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to worry about it. I know what's going to happen, you know, with these people here. It's easy to see where they're headed. See, people want to hear what they want to hear. Once they start hearing things that make them uncomfortable, it's easy to climb into the shell, disappear. Me, I can very much be the same way. In my own ways, I have my own ways of being honoring. Right on, clamming up, becoming the turtle. All right, you know, and just putting myself in that sort of position where, not even to say that my mind is gone, but I just don't want to be there. Don't want to be around that. When there's a level of accountability, once again, then people will actually do better. There is no accountability. There is No accountability. None. And people get mad because I'm speaking on the reality of the accountability. Once again, I know you hold yourselves accountable. There was just too many people when I said that before. But I know you guys hold yourselves accountable. See what I'm saying? And that's the difference, is that when people get to that level of wanting to hold themselves accountable, then the world will actually be better. Accountability is what's going to be able to show the Gentiles that they've inherited nothing but lies, vanities, and no thing of any real profit. It's what's going to save us. See, adults are held accountable. Real adults. They're not slapped on the wrist like, oh, well, you did that, but we're going to give you a pass on this. Not because you're one of us, but because you're the fairer species or the lesser sex. And we feel that she deserves leniency. What about the one young lady who, what's her name? Something Brown, like Cynthia Brown or something like that. She killed 5 people in a car accident. She won't be eligible for parole till she's like 51 or 61 or something like that. You know what I mean? Or hella old, right? You killed 5 people. The fact that you're still alive, they haven't just killed you, is amazing. No, man, that's how it's supposed to be, bro. And how you doing, man? Good to hear from you. People don't want to hear that. People don't want to, but that's encouraging for people to see. That's encouraging for people to see. Because that's how it's supposed to be. You don't have to agree with what somebody says. You know. Glad everything is going all right. Straight up. But yeah, because this man, dudes and chicks, once again, have yet to be held accountable to the level that they need to be held accountable to. And everybody, the whole world wants to let everybody get off, But once again, this chick killed 5 people, right? And sure, it was an accident while I was driving and this, that, and the other, but still you killed them. Like, they're dead. They're not coming back, and you're still alive. You know what I mean? And and no offense, but if you looked at the chick, this is the type of chick to get pregnant by a guard. Right on? So it's like, man, you get what I'm saying? Like, where's the accountability for guards who got all, who got all those freaking female prisoners pregnant? It happens. They don't talk about it very often. It happens. 99.9% of the time, it's a white boy doing that shit. When I say 99.99, I mean that. 99.99. And they're so, and people could be like, well, what about the chicks who let inmates smash on them? What about them? They shouldn't be working there in the first place. But the system lets them do that. So that's an accountability measure that the system needs to be held accountable for, not those ladies. Because if the system told them that they couldn't do it, they would complain and moan. But guess what? At the end of the day, they would let it go. They would let it go. They would not keep up that fight. Trust me. Trust me. Women only get behind things that men will champion with them. Trust me, for every movement, even the feminism movement, has had men involved. Women's suffrage, men were involved in that on every level. Don't ever think that these chicks are doing shit just on the fucking muscle. And no offense to the ladies, you have influence by proxy of being able to actually wrap a man around your finger and get him to do whatever the fuck you want him to do. Men have the same ability almost with women, but it's a different level of finesse. And normally what men ask for is different than what women are going to ask for. You know, like a woman who is well off and well to do, the man that she has wrapped around her finger is normally there for like sexual things and for like there for like, you know, being like I guess like companionship. She doesn't need the other stuff that she might need if she didn't have financial dividend. Right on. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum for the man, it's the same thing for the guy. If he's doing okay and everything is all right, then the only thing he really wants the chick for is companionship. It's like, I don't really need all the other stuff, you know, because her being independent is not what he needs if he needs companionship. You follow what I'm saying? And once again, this is the mentality that they have not pointed out to people. They don't want people to really look at it like that, because then there's a level of objectivity they look at almost all other people with. You know, are they trying to manipulate me? Right? What do they really want from this situation? And I'm not saying that you should go about the rest of your life like that, but when you're in certain situations, it can't hurt. It can't. It really can't hurt. You know. Y'all already know how I feel about ladies in the workplace. I don't really care for all that. I think, especially when women are married, I just think that it just diminishes so many things, like her ability to fuck around if she's not there. It takes away, it should alleviate all that anxiety. But we don't live on plots of land miles away from our nearest neighbor these days, where people raise their families on their own property and raise crops and raise livestock. That's not what that's not the life we live anymore. So that mentality, I'm not going to say is dinosaur or played out, but it's been antiquated or made obsolete in this society. In this society, if you maybe move to a different country where things were ran differently, you could probably go more back to what I was just saying at first. But there's no way that you would be able to do that here in America, you know, unless you lived in the middle of nowhere and you're right, and your wife or husband was from the middle of nowhere, so they could stay in the middle of nowhere for forever, and you could have a family out there like that. That for that to happen, you know, is like you're reaching. So you get what I'm saying? People have to really respect the station. I can't stress this enough. The fact that men haven't been held accountable, the fact that women haven't been held accountable, and the fact that children are often overlooked because how resilient they are, there's never going to be any accountability. I want people to really think about how tough, if they have children, how tough their children are. I want people to think about something that they went through as a child that they know that other kids didn't go through, right? That they either didn't cry about or they just toughed it out. Hurt themselves really bad, hurt yourself really bad. Anything that you know about, and you know what I'm talking about. Where an adult is not that it's like people lose the fight when they get older. It's like they don't have the same dog in them. When they get older, they don't have that same dog in them no more. And it's sad because I normally feel that a person's child version of them was probably like the most real version of them, you know. As an adult, you're more refined. I'll give you that. As an adult, you're probably much more refined. But when you were a child, your level of toughness, even though you think you may have gotten tougher as an adult, you haven't. You haven't. You were way tougher as a little kid. Way tougher. And if you were a tough kid and grew up into a tough person on any level, because everybody's not mentally tough or emotionally tough or spiritually tough or physically tough, but a person may be a combination of all those, or really, really strong in one and diminished in the others, or they might be strong in all of them. Who knows? I'm not the Most High. I don't put people together in the womb. You know, I don't give them divine instruction. So I'm just going based on what I see and I have observed. But what I have observed is that because children are often overlooked, it's a crying shame that the system, the United States, can come and kidnap people's babies, right? Within the US. And people want you to cry about a baby at the border. Do you know how many black people get killed? They'll never tell you how many blacks that they had to shoot down, like when they, like when they were like killing these guys. They'll never tell you that like sometimes CPS was like trying to take their kids away. White guys, a lot of them most white dudes who get killed by the cops, I would say it has something to do with the babies. More times than not. More times than not. More times than not. People want to say that they went crazy and for no. Just like the white boy Chris Watts out there in Colorado or whatever, who killed his wife because he thought that the baby she was pregnant with was somebody else's, right? Even though he had a mistress, right? This dude kills his whole family, 2 baby girls and the wife. And it's just crazy because once again, the accountability factor is that he only gets life. Now, he should be getting the death penalty. I believe that. But the reason why they're lenient is because the system understands he was holding her accountable. See, they can't say that, but the sentencing says that. You follow what I'm saying? Going back to the 300-pound chick, you know what I'm saying? Bertha, when she crushed old boy's head, whatever reason she gave them for the fight, I guarantee you, some level and degree, somebody heard that, who's in charge, maybe the judge. I don't know if the judge is a man or a woman, but depending on their upbringing, they could identify with something that they heard or saw in the paperwork and said, yeah, I know exactly how I'm ruling. They knew how they were going to rule before they ruled. They already knew. The same thing with this Chris Watt guy. Before the judge even ruled, they knew what they were going to do. Okay? They already knew. But they can't not give them any time in prison. Because a lot of those white guys are thinking like, well, fuck, if my wife cheated on me and has some other guy's baby in her stomach, because this happens to white dudes all the time, where he's raising the kid kind of looks like him, so he doesn't really say anything, then they go in. This is, it's a tragedy when guys go in to give blood with their kid, or, kid gets messed up and whatever. They come to find out that they're different blood types. Now, unless the mom is this blood type, word is bond. But once again, how do you have this is how they have problems having children together up top, is because they're normally not the same blood type. But unless that's the case where they're following after this other person because they have a totally different blood type, it is only logical for them to believe that this is not my child. That's the only logical thing to believe. To believe anything else is stupid. Can you dig it? To believe anything else is stupid. This is the problem with people right now, is that they don't want to accept that this is how our world still operates. It's nothing's changed. Nothing has changed. Nothing. And because people don't realize that nothing's changed, they can't see that nothing's changed. They don't want to believe that. They're like, hell no, nah, meat, you tripping. Shit done got different. No, it has not. Has it? It hasn't changed. It's not gonna change. Right. So the same reasons that people were killing each other for 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 4,000 or 5,000 years ago are the same reasons people kill each other now. So the same reasons that a woman would sleep around or a man would sleep around on his wife, right? It's all the same shit. Nothing's changed. Only the environment and what the things look like, the instruments used to achieve the objective. Only those things look different, but nothing's changed. And there has to be accountability. Look how resilient the children were back then. Babies knew, little kids knew that other little kids are getting blood sacrificed, passed through the fire. Children knew this shit. Okay? They knew it. I just got to grow up. I just got to just keep getting older. I just got to not make any mistakes. I have to be perfect. Because you know the baby that they're going to sacrifice is the little weak baby, or the baby that's prone to being, you know, clumsy, right? Right. You see what I'm saying? Why would you give up your favorite? It just doesn't make sense. Right. So when people are hearing me say, oh, that the babies are resilient, I'm not just talking about right now. I'm like, dial this shit all the way back. Okay? Dial it all the way back. Children are stupid, dumb, resilient. It's crazy how resilient they are. Imagine that, being a child thousands of years ago, knowing that they blood sacrificed children, knowing that it could happen to you. Hell, people even tease you about it. Right. The world is so different. But we're being held accountable for what some of those people did way back then, right now. Because their children never fixed themselves. And as we continue down this downward spiral, if we don't fix ourselves, dude, it's over. No one will be saved. That's why it's so important to be held accountable and to be responsible. See, most adults don't like to be talked at like an adult. They have thin skin, you know, rice paper thin. Not good. Not good at all. My boy Jones, Richard Daniel Jones, when I was in the Marine Corps, and I was a funny guy. And he said to me one day, he said, Jones, he said, you know, if you're not careful, you're going to go crazy. I said, why am I going to go crazy? He said, because sometimes when people see the imperfections of society, they only see what it is. I'm gonna show you guys this, and then somebody get this motherfucker out of here. Somebody go ahead and dig dug his ass on out of here. Right on. Thank you. I just wanted y'all to see it. You know, I could have hid it to where y'all never seen it, but I wanted y'all to see it. I will always show you guys what these people say. I will always show you what they say. These dudes, I don't know what these guys be coming in here doing, man. Anyway, now I'm gonna hold Allah accountable since he want to come in here talking nonsense. Allah or Alat, the sun god, or Ilah, which is short for Elah, which is a derivative of the Elohim. Whether Allah is a fallen one, an expelled one, has nothing to do with me. But I do know that people worship the hypocrite deity of Allah. And Allah is a hypocrite. I know that Allah's people would have no faith without the Hebrew Bible. They'd have nothing. But there is no hard feelings towards you. Just saying that Allah's not going to do it for me, friend. Yeah, we can stop talking about religion. Let's talk about what I was talking about at first, which is accountability, responsibility for individuals across the board, and then paying attention to the lowest ones of us who are the babies, but they are precious, but they are the lowest because they are the least of us. They are the smallest of us. So that makes them lesser. However, that does not make them unimportant, and that does not antiquate who they are. All I'm going to say is this right here. When people are not responsible for themselves on any level, then accountability is never sought. When accountability is not sought, the degradation, the what do you want to call it, man? The failing of a system, right? That's what happens. That's what takes place continuously, perpetually. So therefore, it makes it to where people grow up believing that things that are normally or would have been believed to be wrong are right, and things that would have been believed to be right are wrong. I have never bothered to think how to help something that can't be helped, because it can't be helped. It is your ability to be counting on. I'm not sure I follow what you're laying down there, Chief, but to the best understanding of what you're asking me, I think yeah. Yeah. What up, Steven? See, I think people like that guy John Doe, you know, think people like him who come around, they want trouble for no reason. Even though they don't want trouble, they would like to be trouble, because they would still not understand that we as a people don't have a measuring stick to hold ourselves to say this is our problem. Oh, good. I'm glad. The whole problem is this, though, dog. How many people do you know get in trouble and the first thing they want is to be forgiven? Well, that's the whole purpose of this, is that I'm looking at it from my angle. Right. I can't see it from your angle. I don't have your eyes in my head. I have my eyes. If you explain what you mean, then sure, that's one thing. But if you're talking about not holding people accountable, then no offense, John, that would mean that you, on some level, suffer from a mental deficiency. No, it's not selfish. That's all there is. Well, I'm supposed to talk like I'm somebody else, John? That would make me, once again, mentally deficient. Right. So do you see how your level of thinking and my level of thinking, mine says to hold people accountable, and yours is like, I guess, to each his own? Is that what I'm getting from you? To each his own? Because once again, if you're saying that, we've watched to each his own for the last 40 years in this country, and it's done no good for anybody. It's almost destroyed this nation. Literally, dog. Here you go. Here you go. Whoa, 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 whoa. I asked you what you were thinking. You've yet to explain that. All you're doing is deflecting nonsense, man. Either explain yourself right on or don't say nothing. Because the whole point is this. We're talking about, if you as a grown ass man, I'm gonna assume that you're an adult, John. Let's say you as a grown ass man going to a grocery store right now. You're shopping. You know, in the back of your mind, you only got $120. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, you know, in your mind, you've only got $120, but you got to get food for the next 2, possibly 3 weeks. You're counting stuff as you put it into the cart. Bam. As you get to about $100, you know now you can only get certain items. So you really need to be sure about what it is. Mind the fact that you've accounted for whatever taxes, wherever you live, whatever the percentage of taxes for food, you've accounted for all of that. Bam. You get to the register. You realize that you're going to be, I don't know, $5, $6 short. If you're telling me right now that the responsible thing to do is to try to talk your way, you no shit. So that's my point, is that if you're there, the responsible thing to do, the accountable thing to do, is to look and say, okay, what in this cart can I live without? What can I go without? Because all of it can't come with me, because I can't try to steal it. Right. And if I do, then I need to have it in my head that I can be held accountable. Right. So the whole point of what I'm saying is that I don't think I'm above anybody. I'm saying that there's people. If you fucking listen, dumbass, you'll follow it and get it. Because I don't get what your point is. My point is accountability, motherfucker. Like I've been talking. Right. People being held accountable. If you go to the fucking register and you only got $120, you're only good for 120, dog. You're not good for 125. So either you're gonna shit $5, right, or you're gonna put $5 of the groceries back. How hard is that? This guy's a smoker. Smoker. Once again, these people come around here, y'all. And I don't know if this dude has a wife and kids, right? And he's stressed out and he has nothing better to do. Or, or, or he's one of the type of dudes, you feel me, who has no life, right? None. No, 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 no. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter if he is, because he could be black. There's black people who talk stupid shit like him. There's a lot of black dudes who talk that dumb shit that he's talking. So I don't even care what his race is. I care more the fact that he doesn't understand that people have to be held accountable. Right on? He doesn't see the importance of accountability. He doesn't see the damage that is done. You feel me? I know he sounds like a white dude, but there's niggas who talk that same shit. There's niggas who talk that same shit, you know. And this is the whole thing. He can't accept accountability for what it is. So what? Are we to let the women kill their babies? I mean, it's ironic that a woman can have an abortion, but they hold her accountable when she kills her own child in real life. Man, ain't nobody worried about you. Ain't nobody worried about you. The whole point is this right here. So, right, as I was just talking about, abortion, John Doe, because you're one of these people. You feel me? You're one of these people. John, you're one of the people, dog, that I'm talking about. You feel me? You can't even imagine what accountability is. You don't even know what it is. You don't know what it's like to be responsible. You feel me? You don't know. People think paying their rent and their mortgage is being responsible. That's a fucking that's a regular happening for anybody. Drug dealers pay their rent, pimps pay their rent, child molesters pay their rent, right on? So when I'm talking about responsibility, dog, accountability, you have to understand the fullness of it, because it's passing you up. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to. There's no argument. That's the problem with people like you. Your mind is so little, dog, that you thought this was an argument. I would have to be wrong, and you would have to be right, or I would have to be right, and you would have to be wrong for this to be an argument. This is the kind of shit I'm talking about, bruh. Check it out. No. Because this is what I'm talking about right here, is that this dude's trying to deflect what accountability is. And for all you know, this could be Scribe. This is why I'm like, I'm not going to call it a white guy when I know another black person who calls himself an honorary white man all the time and acts like a white man. Please. There's no picture on this dude's motherfucking thing. However, the whole point of accountability, because apparently guys like John don't get it, is so that way people who can say things like, I never owned any slaves, can be held accountable one day. Right. Do people want to hear that the reason why there's record low birth rates is because they had record high abortions for years and years and years? Women destroying their bodies, thinking that, oh, I can just get pregnant. And then they get older and they can't get pregnant, and then they're sad. Right. And then they get mad at the other chicks who went out and had babies for having babies. Wow. That's the kind of shit I'm talking about. Accountability. What's funny is that they want to talk all the shit about the hood rats for having 6 kids by 6 different dudes. But here's the thing, though. She never aborted none of her babies. She never killed none of her babies. Talking about, I can't afford that baby. And then people will talk about, oh, but they make the state, they make the all everybody else pay for those babies. Where else are the numbers for your people going to come from? I want y'all to think about how many dudes are in their 30s and 40s. How many women are in their 30s and 40s with no children and pass judgment like a motherfucker on people with children. Right. No accountability for them. Now, if that person who's passing judgment is a virgin, then I can listen to anything that they're saying. But if this person, not a virgin, and they've been fucking, and they're out there talking about this, that, and the other, I can't stand them. Because they think they're being responsible, but they're not helping your people. They don't help the population number. Responsibility isn't just, oh, I can make sure that I can take care of it, because I promise to God, people, raising a child, though they tell you it's expensive, okay? It can't be that expensive if the government can afford to feed and float the bill for millions, man. It can't be. It can't be that expensive to feed the baby and to actually put clothes on the baby. Right. But people want to keep up with the times, whatever the times are, whatever they think that is. There's people who grew up in the 80s who used to wear cloth diapers. I have cousins who had cloth diapers, okay? All right? And these niggas are only 4, 5, 6 years older than me. And they wore diapers that had to be reused, washed and reused. People don't even know about cloth diapers. So I just think it's amazing that once again, that all these people, they come around, they say shit, and they don't make any sense. Okay? That's why when people be like, oh, this fucking retard is just trying to control the conversation. No, y'all. The retard is somebody else playing like there's somebody else. And I don't have time for all that. But I'd rather embarrass them with the way that they think than to try to argue them down and say, no. Because they're trying to tell me to explain myself. I've already explained myself. I've been explaining myself the entire time. There is no argument. There can't be an argument. Once again, for me to be right and for you to be wrong, or for you to be right and for me to be wrong, has to be indefinite. It has to be indefinite. And if this is just a conversation, we're conversing. We're simply people. You know what I mean? God forbid I were to put the link out and somebody were to actually join me. God forbid, you know, but we're all just conversing. You know, we're all just typing, or you get what I'm saying? We're just kicking it. I don't worry about people like him, but I need people like him to come through to show people that I will give you every piece of the attention that you want. I'll give you that attention. Because apparently he didn't get that attention. Ever. Never had it. I want y'all to understand this. When people come around doing that kind of stuff, they've never had any attention. Never. Not an iota. Especially when they don't make sense. Right? Especially when they don't make sense. Did none of y'all boot them? Because y'all know how I like to just let people go on and on and on. Every once in a while, I need to be reeled back in because I'm a loose cannon. So before you kick them out, I would rather you reel me in. You see what I'm saying? And that's just me being honest with you. Once again, there has to be a level of all that stuff. You can't be accountable. You can't be responsible without being honest. It's impossible. It's impossible, y'all. It'll never happen. It will never happen. I can't stress it enough. You know what I go do this Friday, y'all? This Friday, pray for me. Pray they lift that extreme risk protection order off of a young brother. Pray they take into consideration every single one of your letters of recommendation that have been beautifully crafted. Pray that they exonerate me for the wrongdoing that has been placed, you know what I'm saying, on my name. It is these types of things that guys like John Doe don't understand. You see, I'm able to speak on these things or to live with what it is that they've tried to force onto me because I'm able to be honest with myself. In my honesty, I'm able to search for and then find something to hold myself accountable for. And once I do that, I make myself responsible to not allow it to happen again. Not in that same form and fashion. It will never happen. The way that this thing right here happened will never happen the same way again. This is why I don't get in trouble, because I don't make it a habit to do the same thing again. Andre told me, and because I'm getting ready to close it out in the next few minutes. Andre told me that I needed to make another little channel and make it geared towards health, geared towards eating. So it'll literally only be about food, which I love talking about food. So, and it's going to be about, you know, how young brothers, young sisters, older brothers, older sisters, can eat certain foods, how to enjoy certain activities, or to go about engaging in certain activities to maintain their youth and their energy. Longevity is not determined by us. The Most High God determines longevity. You see? But if you do your part, he will do his. Let me repeat myself. If you do your part, the Most High will do his. I promise you. Healing does not feel good. Healing hurts. Healing hurts. So before I totally end it all out, roundabout, like, we just say this in the next 2 or 3 minutes and we just put it out there. If our people continue the way that they have been going down, if they continue the path that they have traveled, all that will happen is these wicked people that we live amongst will have figured out a way to escape and abscond another 100 years from the Most High and to keep us here. And then in that period of time, they'll have prayed that they will have either successfully amalgamated or assimilated our people into this culture where we don't ever want to leave, where the Most High has to come back and destroy the entire planet, everything. That, my friends, is some grown folk talk for your ass. I pray that you hold you accountable. I pray that you are responsible. And I pray that you're honest with yourself. Those 3 things you do, and only those 3 things, failure cannot be an option for long. I guarantee this. But you have to have goals. And that's for another time. This is just about accountability, holding ourselves to that standard, whatever that may be. That said, salute you. I love you guys very dearly. Y'all take it easy, man. I mean, have a blessed week. Peace.